Hi folks, John Cordisco back again. Round 3, Game 1 of the FIDE World Chess Cup 2015. This is a hell of a game, folks. Hell of a game. Wait, Alexander Grischuk from Russia. World-class player. He doesn't get invited as many tournaments as I would like. I think Grischuk is very underrated. He's a world-class player. And Pavel Eljanov from Ukraine. This is a hell of a game, folks. Let's get to it. It's quite long, so I'm going to go through the opening quickly. It's going to be an open Catalan. Grischuk is white. Eljanov is black. We'll go brief through this. We've seen this a few times. Like I said, the game is quite long, so I want to get to the good part. Bishop b7. This is typical Catalan stuff. This is all theory. C takes, knight takes, bishop takes, king, bishop b4. Okay, let's take a breath here. We're on move 12. Just getting developed, the pieces. Knight comes over, a6 to kick the knight. Knight checks. Pretty much bishop has to take. You can't move the king and not be able to castle. You've got to give up the bishop for that. And queen takes, queen e7, and queen to d3. Okay, this is pretty much typical for these guys. I'm sure they've all seen this position either in their analysis or in actual play many times. Basically even. Pawn structure's symmetrical. The only thing that white has, he has a bishop against the knight. The b5 for black. And Grischuk finally develops his dark squared bishop. Okay. e5. Going right for it right away. Knight c5, maybe. Not sure. At least he gets the knight out there. But e5 does the job. Makes him move the bishop. That's a really annoying pin. She tries to kick the bishop. And now knight to d5. What a pain in the behind. He's got to move the queen. Bishop takes, knight takes, queen takes. Okay. Now, we're in one of the most complicated endings there is. I'll call it an ending, even though there's queens on the board. All the minor pieces are gone. 6 pawns each, double rook, and queen ending. Holy crap. I know it's complicated for me, and I'll tell you, it really gets complicated. Tight advantage for white, maybe. Not sure. As far as I'm concerned, it's even. But of course, we know with the queens on the board, the kings can't come and play in the endgame. So this makes it a little tougher. Queen to a3. Rook to c2. Gives him a chance to get in there. But after b3, white's really okay. Checks king, queen to c5. Now he has a choice here. Grischuk can trade queens. Frankly, I think he should. Even though the computer likes queen takes a6, which he played. I would trade queens. Go rook a to c1, forcing the trade of rooks. Rook takes, and you own the file. Black will either have to castle or move his king to e7. And I think it's just easier to play for white. But Grischuk decides to go for it. Queen takes a6. Black has to castle. And now a4. Gives up the e-pawn. a5. e4. Rook a to e1. Rook takes, f5. Now, pretty good pawn storm there for black. The material's even, but I think that a-pawn for white is going to be a big problem. And the other thing is, how is white going to save his b3 pawn? Queen e6, that's how. King moves, rook to d1. Rook f6. Queen d5. We can go through the variations with queens on the board, but there's just too many. So let's just try to figure this out. Tiny advantage for white. That passed a-pawn might be his ticket. Queen to c2. Rook to d2. Queen to c3, hitting the pawn. Rook goes to a2. Queen checks. King to g2. F4. Trying to bust up the pawns in front of black's king. As you can see, it's going to be very, very tricky. If pawn takes, in comes the rook. The queen's coming. A6. Now, it should come at no surprise. We're on move 36, A6 that white just made. Grischuk is notorious time trouble junkie. He is always in time trouble, and this is no exception. And this makes it really hard when you get a complicated endgame like this. I mean, what do you do here? He goes F3. What else can you do? King to H3. Now, I think this is where black stumbles. I like E3, frankly, for black. But I think he makes a very human move. Very human move. Rook G6. And right now, it's an over 12-point advantage for white. It is now resignable. Absolutely resignable. After E3, queen, rook, queen takes. And that's not the end of the world. He takes F2, rook takes F2, and it's a game again. But after rook to G6, white now holds the win in his hands. And you got to remember, folks, this is a knockout tournament. They only play 2 games for each player. And if you can win the first game, especially if you're white, you should, you're in the driver's seat. All you need to do is draw the next game and you move on to the next round. But Grischuk, being a time trouble junkie, is down to seconds now. A7 wins. He goes king to H4, and just like that, the game is drawn. Give you an idea, if he had gone A7, queen to G1, there's nothing really here to fear, believe it or not. Queen to F5, queen to G2 check, king to H4, and that's it. The checks are done. Absolutely done. He goes king to H4. Now, not only did black rook to G6 was a blunder, king to H4 draws. I consider that a blunder as well. He should play E3. Instead, he plays queen to B4. And now white is back winning again. An almost 5-point advantage. I know that Eljanov was low on time as well. They're getting 10-second increment. Queen to F5 is the move. But instead he goes king to H3, and now it's a draw again. Rook to G5, queen to F7. Let's go back. Queen to B7, I think, is the move here. And it looks like the black is going to win this. What a shame for Grischuk. Let's go through it. Queen to C5, G4, queen to C1. Now white is struggling to draw, whereas he had a 12-point advantage. These are world-class players. It's such a shame too. Not because I dislike Eljanov. I'm a big fan of Alexander Grischuk. Always have been. Finally, he goes A7. Too little, too late. H5. Great move. Great move. Queen takes. Has to take. What other choices does he have? Queen to G8 check maybe. And then after king takes, A8 queen. He decides to go for it, but it's not enough. After rook takes, G takes, it's just over. We'll go through the rest of the moves. Queen. What do you do here? What do you do? Unfortunately, he's in check, so he has to move. Then the queen goes to A8. And white's just doomed. We're going to go through the rest of the game. B4. king, king, king e3. It's not a great move, but the game's already lost. King d7, king, king c7. Watch the finish here. King e3, rook a5, king, rook a3, king, rook a5, king. Now, watch this. Queen d5 check, king to e3, and that's where Grischuk resigned. Or actually, he goes to king to e5 first, and then white resigns. To give you an idea, he queens, he loses. It's mate next move. Queen to d4 is mate no matter what he does. The only thing he can do is rook takes b5, and then when queen takes, king to d2, it's over. You're down to full queen. Tough break for Grischuk. He had the winning move in time trouble. I'm a big Grischuk fan. And I noticed some games where he wasn't in time trouble, he did very well. And some of his opponents were lucky to draw some of those games, and he won the rest. He's got to get over what I call the perfect problem, where you're using so much time looking for the perfect move. He loses so many games because of it. I know he got in a lot of trouble in the Singfield Cup with Nakamura in the last round game and lost that game. Alex, buddy, I like you a lot. Just got to fix your time trouble addiction. Anyway, folks, that's one of the games from round 3. A hell of a game. I want you all to remember, if you think chess is just a game, you're not playing it right. Take care, folks. Bye-bye.